Long time no see.
Yes, good to see you.
So now you can hear me talk in my real voice, which is this accent too, because I'm actually Dutch.
I actually started using that trick too, Maarten.
Oh, you know, you have to pay me for the joke, huh? Every time you use it.
No, but it is. I've actually started using it not even for comic reasons, but because sometimes now English is so sensitive with people feeling offended, and we might just accidentally say something that, you know, triggers someone just because English isn't our first language. So to just emphasize that point up front is very clever.
Oh, experience.
Hey, Michael, welcome. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, hello. Good to join.
Glad
Long
to
time no
have you.
see as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I'm going to be in San Jose though next month.
Oh, wonderful. We'll see you at Conversational Interaction.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
You're going to be there too, of course.
I will be there. I look forward to it. Yes.
Yeah, that's good.
Good.
But Michael,
You get in and out.
I've already violated my rule here that Americans won't be talking. So
Oh.
Yeah, we can't shut you up. It's okay. We forgive you. It's you can't help yourself. But we will take over now. I see France is in the house. I see Spain is in the house. If I'm right. Hello, Esther.
Hello.
This is super correct.
Marie, hello. Bonjour.
Good afternoon.
Hola.
Bonjour à tous et toutes.
Oui, je parlais seulement de camping français. Hein?
Oh. C'est déjà pas mal.
Oh God, that's
Usually
Well, hey, that
it's-
also works, Martin.
Hey, I hear a Danish American somewhere. Hey, Peter. En we hebben een twee Duitsers. Ja, goed. Willkommen.
Hey guys.
Finally, we beginnen es gut machen hier, ne? Mit den Standarden. Und Interoperability, was ist das in Deutsch?
Gute Frage.
Yeah, good
I
question.
have no clue. Interoperabilität.
Yeah.
Very, very similar.
I love it. Like, and then nobody understands it. I heard the best German word working for a German colleague of Deutsche Telekom, together with Hans, and that was the word Schnittstelle. And I'm like, I know a little bit of German. I'm like, what is that? It's cutting edge, literally. You translate it. It's interface.
Schnittstelle interface. Oh.
And I was like, oh, I love it. Schnittstelle. I'll never forget that. Christian, welcome.
Hi there.
I need also. Good. We'll just open it up just a little bit for everybody to arrive. I'll be your host today, and I'll start in a moment. And if you're not talking to us, please mute yourself. If you are talking to us, feel free to blabber, because now you can. And I'm sorry for
Blabby,
that.
blabby.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I like to keep it a little bit informal, because we have to be formal all the time anyway. And here we hardly see each other. We're that big.
So we got to be louder. So you're saying?
We already have over 19 participants. I'll give it one more minute, and then we can kick it off. Again, I'm your host, Martin Lens Fitzgerald, calling in from Amsterdam.
Hans 5 minutes away from Martin.
5 minutes? Are you downtown or?
I'm at home. Yeah, I hardly leave the house anymore with the baby.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But it's
I'm
not
also a young
step.
dad, Hans. Not.
Well, what you once told me stuck with me, and I'm doing that too now. So Marston once said, because he was very social, and then when he had kids, he's like, I need to get a hobby in the house. So he took on cooking, and I think I'm gonna find my preferred dishes too now and try to perfect them. And then, it'll be like people come over to me, and then that's kind of your social life.
Exactly. That's how it works. But be careful, you might not fit the screen soon. Keep up the cycling too, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, I think we're 3 minutes past the hour. Let's start this presentation. I have the luxury of having somebody doing the slides for me. So please can I have the first or the next slide? Because of course you guys, people who've been here before know who that is. That's John, but John doesn't want to talk because he doesn't want Americans to say anything in this meeting. So let's see if he can keep that up. If not, it'll be different. Anyway, welcome to this Open Voice Network meeting, the first European version forum. I love this, and that is one of the key things that Jon Stine is. Every meeting will end on time, so we as well will end on time, hardcore. So be aware of that. This meeting is being recorded, and everything could be shared. So yes, thank you, Hans. Please mute that next time. Everything is recorded. Please be aware of that. And if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, use the chat function to communicate this, and then people will make sure that I will be aware of that. And if you really need to, I don't mind if you interrupt me. So very important also is that we are part of the Linux Foundation. That means that there are some smart rules and policies around antitrust. Be sure to read this and be aware of this, because especially, we do not want to tread any legal rules that we shouldn't. So please follow the link and read these. So we have 4 items in short. We have several guests who will be talking today over these 4 items. We'll have an update on why, what, and how of the Open Voice Network. We have perspective, why it's important to me and to any other who is working with voice. Also, why it's important for the Europeans, for us in the old world, to do this. And of course, hopefully we have some time for questions and comments. If you don't know me, I'm Martin Lenz Fitzgerald. Find me at lenz-fitzgerald.com. I've been working on standards for a while. Before Ovan, I shouted out somewhere in Denmark a while back, like, let's have standards in voice. And then this started, and I was so happy. So I've been participating here in various things. I work on Project Silver, which is voice for older adults. And here in Holland, I'm bringing together the industry to create, in a way, standards and common resources and tooling. Next one, please. So to kick off, let's hear from Bernard Hochstetter from Deutsche Telekom.
Yes, thanks, Martin. And you realize already that my name is almost as hard to speak as Schnittstelle, as you just said. Yeah, Hochstetter is maybe the most difficult thing to pronounce, right? As not German. And as you can realize as well, talking about voice, my voice is almost totally broken today, so please forgive me for that, but I hope you can hear me well. So I'm Bernard, I'm working at DT and on innovations like more than 20 years already. In the last 6 years on voice UI only. So 6 years ago, we kickstarted our voice initiative inside of DT. And today I want to tell you a little bit about our DT's approach on, and also the vision when it comes to voice. Next slide, please. Voice, I mean, voice is the most natural interface of human beings. Yeah? It's mainly the point why we are so effective in comparison to other species. Yeah? Voice is a very, very powerful communication form. Strange-wise, in the last 2 decades or so, somehow voice was a little bit chopped off. Why? Just because the technology was not there to leverage it as well as the communication between humans and machines, just because the technology was not good enough to do so. Therefore, we were using keyboards and touchscreens and all that. And I'm not saying that voice will replace those. They might have their own strengths, but voice will be, again, also a very dominating UI in short notice. And now, next slide. What is now interoperability? You see a lot of terms and attributes here. But to sum it up, it's basically a really crucial enabler when it comes to digitization. It helps bringing digital product to the next level, opens up ecosystems, and by doing so, it connects platforms and helps to scale digital products. That's, at least for me, mainly it. With closed ecosystems, you have always limited scales and limited UX for the customers. And if you go to the next slide, you see the main benefit from our point of view, because the main benefit is for the users of this technology. For us, in 2016, when we started building our own smart speakers and our own voice platform, it was clear that we don't want to build yet another golden cage for our customers. We want to let them the choice which assistant to use. Therefore, already then we have built the first worldwide, by the way, a little bit proud, truly parallel assistant with 2 assistants on the same device in parallel active. So you don't need to have a switch or anything. They are truly parallel. And the customer always sees, am I now in the magenta world or am I in the blue world, depending on which assistant is at the moment active. And we had some clever logic how the customer is not overwhelmed with that technology piece, which is also not so easy to solve. So this was definitely for us a right decision and the starting point for DT when it comes to interoperability. The starting point. Next slide, please. Because for the same reason, we then joined the Great Open Voice Network as a platinum sponsor last year, as we truly believe in interoperability. Besides interoperability, also data privacy is one of the main core beliefs of the Magenta company. We have a big brand in Germany, and it's really heavily also based on trust, in which we can't and don't want to harm. And therefore, we put a lot of effort in meeting data privacy standards, which even over, let's say, goes farther than the usual GDPR requirements. So we put a lot of energy in it, and Ovon also works heavily on data privacy. So already 2 big reasons for us to join that. Interoperability, data privacy is close to our heart, is close to the OVON heart, and we are sure that together with the OVON partners, we can work on great standards when it comes to voice agents. And the next slide, please. But I mean, I'm an engineer, my team are engineers. So besides working on important standards to influence the industry towards a worldwide web of voice, we believe in getting things done. And for us, it's important to build stuff, to validate assumptions and making things happen. And therefore, we already started implementing the first POCs together with some partners here from OVON to make it happen and to validate while we write standards and make sure they're going in the right direction. And the next slide, please. And this was in my slide deck. Here. Yes, thank you. That's just the beginning. Yeah? We are thinking big, and we envision a truly open ecosystem in which all parties share the same standards for the sake of our users. And the behind of all that is human-centered technology, which is a core belief of us. We do everything for human beings, and we believe that open standards and voice UI are an important factor here. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bernard. I think you guys are, I think even globally, the leader in interoperability, because you did it. You put one on the market, a speaker that has both assistants in it. And I can't tell you how many times here in Amsterdam, I'm on my bike and I want to add something to my Google Assistant shopping list, and I can't through Siri. So I hope that your example we will propagate. And to me, this is also what OVON will help enable, and you guys are already doing. So respect, thank you for your presentation. And great to see that you are incorporating already the standards. And I think for all, this is a great leadership that you're showing. Thank you again. We're moving on to now Christian Wuttke, if I say your name right. I think most important here is like moving from a telecom provider to Deutsche Telekom to Schwarz IT, which is retail. And again, such an important use case. Christian, take it away.
Thank you, Martin, and you pronounce it pretty good. Yeah, yeah. So next slide, please. I'm Chris, and I have the honor in the Schwarz Group to lead the topic of conversational AI together with my teams. That means that we are in charge of basically all actions we perform on a Google Assistant, on our phone systems, everywhere where we can integrate automation in voice. That's what we do. So just in case, next slide, please. Just in case you have no idea what the Schwarz Group is, we are a big retailer. And there's a slide before. Okay, so
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Next slide. That's okay, John. That's okay. Just move on to the next slide. Perfect. So for me, the human voice is maybe the most complex manifestation of human intelligence. So it is supernatural. You can do things by having your hands free. So for us at Schwarz Group, conversational AI is really, it's the next wave of customer and employee experiences. And so it's a totally important topic for us to work on. And when I say Schwarz Group, you probably know our retail divisions. Next slide, please. And maybe the baseline of this slide should be, we are quite big. We are Europe's biggest retailer. We have 500,000 employees worldwide. We have more than 500 million store customers, not including our online store customers. We are running over 12,000 stores in 33 countries, and we have a couple of billion euros revenue each year. So we are big, and we have a couple of use cases where we can assist our customers in their daily interaction with our different subsidiaries like Lidl, Kaufland. Yeah, voice and chat are totally two important pillars of our customer experience. Next slide, please. But for us, our voice ecosystem, it's not only the things about retail, it's more. We are also selling IoT devices, so building applications that allows our customers to control their power sockets or power socket, their kitchenware, light and stuff like this. This is also in our scope. We have a lot of employees, and the employees have to work. So we have topics when it comes to scheduling, service booking, and making the processes in the stores and or in the offices much more faster and yeah, much more easier. So there are really there's really a wide range of use cases we have, and that's the reason why we joined the Open Voice Network, because in our heart we believe that the only way for us or for the world is to having open standards in a voice-based world. So our main focus, next slide, John, please. So our main focus here is that we want to foster interoperability between different ecosystems. As Martin says, when I like to fill my shopping list, I want to use the device that's next to me. Is it Siri? Is it a Google Assistant, an Amazon Alexa? I don't care. As a customer, I want to fill my shopping list within my for my favorite retailer. Then, of course, we are a German-based company, so data privacy is always key for us, because at the end of the day, data privacy is crucial for user trust, and someday in the future, voice commerce is becoming more and more important, and to sell things using your voice, trust is essential. And ethical standards, of course, when you're using your Google Assistant or your Amazon Alexa, you have, for example, background noises. So we could probably know that you have a dog, and cool, we could recommend you dog food, but that's not what we want. So ethical standards are for us a totally must-have for creating trust, for being a well-trusted retailer in a voice-based world. So yeah, we joined the Open Voice Network as a funding member, and we are very proud of this, and we are supporting the Open Voice Network yeah, heavily. And when I'm not busy doing my stuff in the company, I have the honor to serve the Open Voice Network as the chair of the technical committee. And our shared vision of an open voice network is based on maybe on two pillars. The first is fairly obvious, and you can see it on this slide. It is the development of common standards, because yeah, that's crucial. To me, standards are like a puzzle. It requires many small and large pieces, of all which must fit together very seamlessly and form a picture that is visible to all and recognizable as such. And we have identified maybe three main parts which we are working on at the moment. The first is user privacy and security. One of the major issues in maintaining user trust is privacy, as I have already said, for the individual, but also for the company. As a customer, for example, I want my data to stay with me as possible, and that the use in a specific context has to be approved by me. As a retailer, I want my customer to remain my customer. For example, if he buys a product from me using voice, I expect that a large company or a large online retailer who also happens to sell smart speakers cannot use this information to his advantage. So I want the customer to be my customer. Thus, the goal here is to define guidelines for developers as well as for enterprise users. Additionally, we will soon communicating the current status of our work in various white papers. And if you want to get involved, you can join our working group sessions every, I think it's Tuesday, but I think it's on the next slide. The second puzzle piece, yes, it's Tuesday. Thanks a lot, John. The second puzzle piece is interoperability. At the moment, we are confronted with a very heterogeneous system landscape. There are different ecosystems, interfaces, input method, you name it. For us, it is important to bring a clear line here. As a customer, I want to have a seamless customer experience. As a company, I don't want to build and then run 10 different applications for different ecosystems. Our goal is here to establish uniform protocols that make it possible to transfer acoustic signals, text, as well as semantics. And if you want to check out the current state of work, you can find it also in our Git repository. If you feel like supporting the colleagues, you can join the discussion every Tuesday. And for me, it is a super important topic, and we are very grateful for every new perspective on this topic and every helping hand. The third point is what's called findability and discoverability. That's what it's called. That's a new name. The question here is, how do I actually find the right contact in a worldwide voice web? How will I be found as a company? Or maybe to put it in another way, if a user wants to buy a cell phone, to which store will he actually be redirected? Is a central database, let's call it a voice register system, the right choice? And if so, what would the meta architecture of such a service look like, and how would it be integrated? Who would have the sovereignty of such a service? Those questions are answered by colleagues or are discussed by the colleagues in the voice registry working group. And if you want to join them every Thursday, you have the chance, and the actual work in progress can be found, as always, on our GitHub repository. Next slide, please, John. The second major pillar aims at addressing critical issues and encouraging discussion of them. Ethic, as I already mentioned, plays a particular important role here. How can we ensure that the standards we create, the protocols we establish, the ecosystem guidelines we postulate, uphold the rights of the individual? How do we ensure that the company's rights to brand names, for example, are also upheld? Or more generally, how does intellectual property work in a voice assistant-dominated world? If you want to dive deeper into these topics, you can follow the discussion of the working groups every Wednesday. At the same time, we must ensure that our standards and the discussions and the issues do not exist in a hollow theoretical space, but are based on real-world problems. For this purpose, there are various working groups, such as the Commerce Working Group or the Health Working Group, that deal with the specific industry use cases. And last but not least, we need to make sure that we integrate current technical developments into the strategic direction of the Open Voice Network. For example, there's a study group that deals with the possibilities of synthetic speech. That's pretty cool stuff. And though they asked them that, what are the advantages that we can expect from the use of synthetic speech? What are the connections, for example, to ethical issues? How can we foster the development of synthetic speech? And if you want to join the discussion, the working group meets monthly on Wednesday, and I'm not sure on specific which Wednesday, but it's Wednesday. So if you have any more questions about different working groups, the pillars, the strategic directions, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you, Christian.
You're welcome.
That was a very good overview about the Schwarz Group. I love the fact your values are very clear. I really like that you have that human-centered design aspect also in there. I think I love it. It's so important. I think voice is finally, we have a human-centered or human-founded technology instead of the other way around, whatever that may be. Regarding all the activity for everybody who has not participated, for me personally, I was very active in the beginning and was almost in all meetings. My personal conversational technology knowledge and application level raised by a bar of 7, if that means anything. But I really encourage anybody to participate. Just listen in the first hour or first times, and after that you will automatically join because it's really useful. There's lots of smart people there, and it's just important work to do. And if you want to mean anything in the world, this is a good place to do it. With that, Peter, can you please take it away for the next part?
Will do, and I hope you guys can hear me. Excellent presentations, Bernard and Christian. So my name is Peter Benson, and I'm currently coming to you from sunny California. I guess you could say that I'm bi-coastal, West Coast, US, and East Coast of Denmark, that is. I am the COO of Aloha Health Network. We're a digital health AI startup focused on improving patient outcomes in clinical research through the application of AI for good. Our services vastly accelerate and augment clinical research and operations by precisely matching highly qualified patients to trials and ultimately life-saving therapeutics and outcomes, while reducing costs and time to market risk for providers, payers, and life sciences sponsors. At Aloha, as with some of the other companies you guys have just heard about, major companies, of course, we're a small fish. We're currently looking to innovate and are actively extending our services to include conversational AI as well in support of clinical research and patient care. I am also a contributing member of the Open Voice Network and actively, time permitting that is, participate in the technical committee, as you just heard, which is chaired by Christian, the architecture working group, the privacy security working group, and I'm also a member of the Health, Wellness, and Life Sciences Community Governing Team. There were 2 comments from Bernard and Christian's presentations that really hit a note with me. The first one from Bernard was the comment or concept of liberating voice, and from Christian, the concept of voice being the ultimate expression of human intelligence. So, if those 2 concepts or terms are really the case, and that's what we're trying to achieve, then it just goes to show that we really do have to develop something where we can say that voice, we're providing voice worthy of user trust. It just goes to show some of the tenets and some of the concepts that were presented are incredibly important, maybe more so here than it is with any other technology adoption. Let me just see where we are. Next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, that slide. The health, wellness, and life sciences community is but one of the industry verticals represented within the OVON, with a few others illustrated here on the slide. You've heard about the structure and governance of the OVON organization as a whole. The industry vertical communities specifically focus on ensuring participation and representation of industry thought leaders and member organizations. Community participation ensures that the industry vertical focus areas, pain points, and key use cases, as Christian alluded to, are addressed through across the organization and implemented in any recommendations towards standardization. As such, the industry verticals and participation in the industry verticals have a tremendous responsibility, but also power for good, in my opinion. And that kind of loops back to what I just said about the great comments from Bernard and Christian. On screen, you can see some of the key voice-centric use cases that we have identified and are researching and evaluating to ensure that the particular needs and requirements of each are addressed and filtered through the lens of ethical use, privacy and security, strategy, design, to name a few, to pave the way for development and standardization. Christian also touched upon this. For health, wellness, and life sciences specifically, as an example, we're looking in depth at remote patient monitoring and biomarker analysis currently as key use cases for the adoption of conversational AI in this industry vertical. And of course, some of the experiences through COVID have illustrated the importance of adopting technology to relieve frontline healthcare workers and provide for scale, productivity, and optimization during situations such as that. But also, I think for the modern healthcare landscape, there's been a tremendous focus on trying to get the most out of very limited resources as the kind of doctor to patient ratios have gone down over time. In terms of personal observations, I can say that I participate and have a great interest and also feel a moral and ethical obligation to do so, as I've been involved in ethical use, patient privacy, data protection for the last 10 years or so, and security for the last 20 years, I'd say, across both telecommunications, system engineering, and healthcare and life sciences sectors. From a professional standpoint and from the standpoint of being a patient advocate, you can say, I also work in an industry where these particular areas of interest are heightened or elevated from a regulatory and compliance standpoint. And we're held accountable according to HIPAA, GDPR, and CCPA, and others from a compliance standpoint. But from a broader collective perspective, I also feel that we should all care about ethical use, privacy and data protection, security, really for any new technology, standardization, and adoption. It really is about, voice worthy of user trust. I think only then will we be able to pave the way for a wider, more meaningful adoption of conversational AI based on user trust. So in joining the OVON, or Open Voice Network, you will directly be able to have a measurable footprint and impact on our collective future in global standardization and adoption of conversational AI. And that's what I have. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Martin.
Perfect.
Esther, I guess. Yep.
Yeah, thank you very much, Peter. Just regarding the use cases, I think it's so important to focus on the use cases and have these specific user industry groups. And in regards, for instance, to health and wellness, today in Holland, we launched the voice monitor. So the latest numbers of general usage, biggest highlight was older adult usage is up 14% to 1 in 4 older adults are using it. And most thing that they do is ask health related questions, or they want to talk to their care provider. So lots of interesting stuff there. Now, moving on to a whole new set of presentations. We still have a lot to go. So I ask the coming people to really keep it under 3, maybe 4 minutes. So we also have a little bit of time for open discussion. So with that, hola, Esther. Andiamo, is that the word? I don't know. I'm not that good at
everybody.
Spanish.
Hello, everybody.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Esther Checa. I'm the head of innovation in a Spanish digital media agency based here in Madrid with offices in Houston, Mexico, DF, and Milan. My experience in voice over the last year has been focused on working the connection of the voice product with advertising in order to answer a sales funnel. So next, please. So I would like to share with you some data from the Spanish market to understand why it's relevant to drive the needs for voice standards here. Next. Probably our maturity as user, when we talk about voice, goes back to 2012 when Siri can speak Spanish on the iPhone X model. This is important when we are speaking about voice here in Spain. And 6 years later, Amazon and Google smart speakers landed in Spain, generating a really great expectation among the users. Next. And a good starting point in the use of virtual assistant on smart speakers and smartphones has been during the pandemic. For example, Google Assistant is among the top 5 apps downloaded during the COVID. Next. But the point is what has been happening for the last 5 years in Spain market about voice adoption. This point is important for us. Obviously, the massive sales of smart speakers have driven brands to start developing their voice product to be present in these devices. So depending on the time of industry, the development of the voice experience changed a bit. Telecom industry obviously is trying to develop their own voice assistant. Mass media are working with Alexa and voice assistant to be an option on their smart speakers, and banking and insurance industry are trying different voice experience through mobile apps, skills, or proprietary virtual assistants. Next. Our voice technology and development industry is led by a significant number of small and medium-sized companies specialized in the development of voice experience and technology. And this obviously coexists with the large consultancy in technology platforms. Next. And for me, this is the most important part. What about the users? A very important part of making a technology an option is when the user adopts it. So otherwise, there is a problem. Some data tell us that voice technology and the use of virtual assistant are part of our lives. For example, in the last reports, we can see women are the main target for using voice assistant on mobile with Google Assistant and for search content on internet. Next. Other figure with other data very interesting is 2 years ago, 37% have had contact with virtual assistant and the 22% had both thanks to the chatbots. Next. And in the last report, this point is important too, because the use of smart speakers increased. However, the use of virtual assistant is reduced. So this point is important to understand what is happening, why reduced 2% in 1 year. Next. And finally, the other one? Yeah. And finally, what about the advertising industry? What is happening in our industry? Currently, there is not yet an advertising industry, but there are Spanish startups where voice advertising formats are being developed, which will coincide with the conversational advertising format of large platforms such as Amazon. Right now, we don't have here in Spain, we don't have conversational audios from Amazon Music, but some small companies are developing similar formats for make the voice experience. Next. So the question is why Open Voice Network is important for Spanish enterprise and conversational AI technologies. Taking into account Gartner hype cycle, 12 years ago, voice was been a really great opportunity, but it's now that we are starting to create a maturity voice solution and experience. However, there is a big leap to make a massive the relationship with the customers. This is the point right now. Next. For this reason, the incorporation of standards into the ecosystem under construction and with a positive inertia will be a great opportunity. Will be a great opportunity to build up customer confidence, be inclusive and accessible than other tech solution or platforms. if you are new on the block, obviously this is really important, and create an industry climate of trust and innovation will be faster. And the last one, develop a new community of expert and professional careers. All of these elements I used to explain with my clients. I used to explain with my students when I'm teaching in business school. So I think all of these things, Obon, will be really important, trying to share what is important standard here in Spain. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Esther. Very good, very good. Now we go straight on back to Amsterdam to Hans. And believe,
yes.
Hans, you have 6 minutes until you leave, right? That's good for your
No,
4-minute presentation. Go.
I actually have more time now, Martin, but I'll keep it short. No, my name is Hans van Dam. I am one of the founders at Conversation Design Institute and CDI Foundation. And CDI Foundation has a partnership with OVN. I'm also on the industry advisory board. But what we try to do is develop human-centric design standards for conversational interfaces. Our whole belief is that, if we have AI to talk to people, then we shouldn't just focus on the artificial brain, but also on the human brain. So we want to unify principles of technology and psychology to create good human-centric and inclusive experiences. So these are some of the things that we're working on. And we are a training company, and we help enterprises scale up their teams and have certification programs around that. But in the context of Open Voice Network, what we're very interested in is, we talk about data protection, we talk about security, we talk about all these things, but what does that then mean for people when they interact with a system? Because yes, it's important for the systems to be secure, but it's also important for people to feel safe. And they don't, it's not, it takes more work than just creating a secure system. You also want to create experiences for people to make, to feel safe. So these are some of the things that we're working on at CDI Foundation. So a lot of the stuff that's developed at OVN will kind of go through to our foundation, and we'll have work groups that are going to do research on that and talk about that and come up with those standards. So on one hand, we have our standards for, just what is good conversation design? How do we make sure that we are inclusive in the way that we speak to people, but also in how we respect their linguistic preferences, and all of those things where we have standards for. But then the second part of it is we now put that in that OVN open standard ecosystem. Now, with that end goal in mind, what are some of the conversations that every enterprise should be able to have with their customers when things get more personalized, when things get more interesting than your average, here's an FAQ bot. So those are the things that we're pretty excited about working. And as we're scaling up teams around the world, because we've got a couple thousand students already working at enterprises, we'll also be able to integrate all of these new standards into that population of people actually doing the work in voice. How was that on time, Martin?
You did perfectly. Thank you very much. You are raising an army of conversation designers. And I think if you look at the history of creating standards, it was about packets and standards, code base. And what you are adding here to this so important mix is that human experience design, because it's all about that in voice. So thank you very much, not just for attending, but adding that to the mix. We now move to Paris. Bonjour, Paris.
Bonjour à tous. Hello, everyone.
Please go ahead.
Okay, superb. So if you can move, so who I am, so I'm working on the digital industry since the beginning. Actually, I started at the USA with Real Media, which was the first trip people, selling media on digital. And it's so of course, I'm very digital oriented and advertising oriented because it's one way to engage users. And it's a good way to engage users because when you do an advertising and if you can have the continuity in the advertising, by opening your ear and speak with others, it's even bigger. So what you said before, I think it's Bertrand, is that discoverability and being able to know how to access, where to access, why to access. Advertising is great for that. And if you look at the advertising market, it's quite poor because today advertising is pushing video, pushing image which does not click and does not really engage users. So it's all about what you said, engaging people with great experience. And I think the second point is, I mean, for what you did in Germany is really cool. That smart speaker is really cool. I mean, it's a good thing to communicate on voice interactions, but today does not permit all the creative brands would like, and usability too. And the collection of data is quite poor, because you can do what you want, as it's some walled gardens. So if you can click on the next one. So what we try to work out is, if you can click on the next one, it is how we can use open platforms to have a voice experience. And we have a voice core, so we make analytics each quarter to see the evolution of all device and usage in the French market, of course. And I don't go outside so far. We of course see that mobile is a key, and mobile display and mobile in-app are very easy to be used to interact with users. So we all worked around that by implementing experience, and the experience goes with multi-interactions, easyability, accessibility. The user need to be able to choose the mode he wants to interact. So that's a kind of formats we've been building, and we're moving from 2D to 3D to video ad virtual sellers, because conversation is speaking to others, and so you need to have someone in front of you, which is not fully bought, because people don't want to work, I think, with machines. That's why our name is ADN.ai. In the US, it's DNA.ai. So it's the human part mixed with intelligence, artificial intelligence. So, and if you go directly on the last one, because I'm not going to be too long too, I think that, let me give you a story. Of course, it's performing, but why I'm very interested to work on the other network is that we tried to, so we built this format, which is a format you can speak in, you can activate the voice, the microphone, and speak. So we've gone on platforms like Xander, I mean, for media, and we've gone on platforms like DV360, and guess what? Google, I mean, accepted for us to work with our formats, but not opening the microphones. Why? Because in their general sales condition, I mean, they have the microphone everywhere, they collect data, whatever, you don't know what they do, but they do not authorize me to activate in any broader web advertising, because they did not think they could use that inside an advertising. So an advertising that which speaks to you and you can speak to with voice assistant, they did not even think about it, and it's not in their system. So we can clearly make a big difference with those guys, which are very close, by using opening platforms in order to deliver new experience anywhere it is. So this is a good example of where, I mean, Google is going to be late, because they are so secure their things that they're not using the last technology we can build, and small companies like us do build. So we'd be happy to share all the case study we've been working on in order to show what we can do in advertising, how to engage with experience, with voice, with sounds, with multi-interactions.
Perfect. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. I believe I was at my first voice conference in Paris 5 years ago. And that's where I got to know we.fr, the train company's website, which was all conversational. Really impressed. So early is so advanced. I think as a country, you're also showing the way. And with that, Oksana, also from Paris, please take it away.
Yes, thank you very much. Actually, my intervention will be very, very short. John asked me to give just an informal comment from a marketer's point of view, actually over enterprise marketer or brand manager. And I think some of the topics I wanted to touch already discussed. I would like, yes, of course, we know all of us that big platforms such as Google and Alexa control the whole thing, the data and experience, and actually they have real control. So actually that's what I noticed, at least in my marketer's experience, that companies are somehow slowing down with their innovation and projects involving voice. Why? I would like just maybe probably make two suggestions. First of this is experience, lack of control on the experience and lack of competences. That's actually why our designers community from OVN can be very, very important can be really driving by giving a good guidance, because we really are a great community of people from different experiences, different countries, different level of adoption locally. That can be really interesting, and I think OVN has a big role to play here. A second, and actually it brings us to the general problem of building a minimum lovable experience before building a minimum viable product. It's very often seen in innovation projects. We start with an MVP, and actually voice is about experience. Hans just mentioned it. I think we would never insist enough on the importance of this, and designers are key drivers here, not actually technologists or developers or AI specialists. A second point of all innovation projects is about ROI. As I mentioned, very often voice projects are taken by enterprises, managed by enterprises and brands. As an innovation project with a small budget, it's just a poke, basically. Most of the examples that we know, we very often quote, they stay at this stage just because there is no long-term ROI, and as platforms control these experiences, brands really lack visibility. So actually, again, OVN, Open Voice Network, I really struggle with OVN now. Has another big role here with the privacy community and strategy community to highlight these problematics to enterprises and to brands, because what can we do? What kind of solutions can be brought, maybe by future European players, to give the brands the power and to control the experience? That's probably my tiny input from the inside, from a brand side.
Thank you very much, Oksana. We now move back to Germany with Sarah Oliver, to say it very American, or Sarah Oliver. Better, huh?
I'm actually from Spain.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Well, as you can already see, I'm Sarah. I am one of the leaders, multimodal designers at BUI agency. We are a German-based, but one of Europe's leading conversational AI agencies. And we are a big group of language experts and UX experts as well. And we focus very much on the user experience and the quality of the conversational and multimodal interactions. Because as Hans said and Oksana said before, design is one of the greatest tools to overcome the limitations technologies have today at the moment, right? I've been participating already for a few months with OVN workshops, the privacy and the ethical work group. And at BUI and myself personally, we are aware of the responsibilities we have with the development and design of our experiences with this particular technology, right? And we are compromised, and we should all and be compliant to our users' needs and desires, because we are all also those users and those customers. And I'm pretty sure that if you or someone else close to you has a smart speaker with both capabilities and has children around, you've already observed and been able to see the impact this technology is already having in our behaviors, and also how it's changing already our culture. And everything we design today, it's changing our own culture, and we have to be very aware of this, right? And someone coming from an artistic background, I also know the importance of having spaces like the Open Voice Network to promote dialogues that first reflects on the effects that technology has on us and our environment, and also through these spaces to promote the dialogue and develop the necessary frameworks, guidelines, and even organisms that can help us educate our surroundings and stay compliant to the type of future we want to design for ourselves and the future generations. And of course, implement and iterate in our day-to-day work, because as you all know, this is an ongoing process, and we must keep up with the changes So I guess by joining as many perspectives and disciplines here at Open Voice Network, we are working on reducing also our own biases and the empty spots we miss as individuals in our day-to-day work, because we complement each other at the end, right? And if you are here today, you also understand the greatest opportunities and challenges that conversational technologies have. And so I want to wrap up my little comment here with a call to action to not only stay here in this round, but also to keep spreading the word, to keep meeting, to join forces to deliver great, safe, and of course, ethical experiences and interactions with voice. And that's it. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Very good words. Very good words. That was our last speaker of the day. We have 7 minutes left. Let me reiterate, please join us. Go to openvoicenetwork.org/calendar and find there the meetings around technical standards, interoperability, privacy, security, findability, and discovery. Also, ethical use, rights to be protected, values to be promoted, so important. And of course, what all the industries do, health, wellness, life sciences, media and entertainment. Hey, did we say metaverse yet? Yes, so now we can continue. Commerce, and of course, education, be it K-12 or even other commerce. Very important, go to /calendar on the website. Then what can you do? Let's give you a little action point. So if you are speaking and you would like some slides, you need some help, or you just like to mention that maybe we should be there, mail me at martin@lens-fitzgerald.com or Jon Stine, john.stein@openvoicenetwork.org. We will help you with any which way we can that you need to make sure it all goes well. We have our first chapter starting in France. Very good, Amari. If you are in France, you want to join, please let them know. Here are their emails. If you are want to start your own chapter, let us know as well. We will support you and enable you, because it's so important. I mean, sorry, John, but I am going to say it. In the beginning, it was all American. It was only full usage of Alexa and Google Assistant. And slowly, thank God, the group understood that, for instance, in Holland, there's not even Alexa. And you understood that there's a world larger than the new world, and with respect, of course. So, and I think, oh, and now my Alexa, of course, is talking while we're closing up, almost there. Alexa, stop, with love again. But it's very important here in Europe. I think the internet, for a large part, also formed here. We know how it is to get working together going, if you know what I mean. How multicultural, multi-backgrounds and all these complications to get it together. And I think just look at the EU, just look at the Eurovision Song Festival. We get it together. And I think there maybe we have something to add in a good way. So if you like us, just on another level, just be a friend, share a testimonial, donate. You can find it all on openvoicenetwork.org. And with that, for the last 4 minutes, who has that question, that remark that we cannot ignore? This is your moment. Life is short, so we're building something that matters. Let me know now, or anybody else. Step up the
Well, I might not have a question, but maybe a remark. And well, I think one of the most important sections of the Open Voice Network is their interoperability work group, because this is actually something very innovative, and making assistants talk to each other without the interaction of a user. I think it's extremely relevant for the future of the technology, and make things work seamlessly. And I think I want to congratulate Telecom in this work that they're doing, because I think this is truly remarkable.
Very good, Sarah. I think John said it best, that we will reach the voice singularity when we break the stagnating growth that most industries now see in voice, and we break it through with interoperability and growth. Sebastian, you have 3 minutes or less, because if it's less, Ed House has a chance.
I'm going to keep it quick. So, this is for Esther, as an old Madrid fan, Hala Madrid. I wanted to know, what's going on in Spain with regards to, sports and voice technology or conversational AI in general.
Oh,
I think, Esther, I'm very sorry. We have 2 minutes left. I would love for you two to right now put your emails in the chat so you can find each other and hear the answer from each other. And then Ed, you have 1 minute to say something, and then we will make our time.
Yes,
Thank
actually,
you for understanding.
I enjoyed the comments from everyone in the presentations talking about security, and particularly about brand identity. And that's one of the key areas that the security is an enabler of your brand's identity and reputation. So you can really stand out because security traditionally has not been built into the experiences of the big tech voice assistants. And so as the industry continues to move forward, if we look at building in security as part of the design process, that will again be an area that different brands can stand out because it shows clear evidence that the brand cares about the safety and security of their users.
Very good, very good. I think in a world that is still coming, where we will have millions of assistants, I think the security standards, the brand protection, or anything else that we will help create will enable us all. And I think if we work together and keep the energy we have today, we will sure get there. So with that, and hey, I'm 1/16 German, so I'm definitely before the end time. Thank you very much, everybody. I really enjoy this. I hope we can do it more. And I hope to see you soon in any which form, maybe even at a real life event. That would be so great. Thank you very much. Have a great day. And let's hope the spring continues.
The voice be with you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good day. Bye-bye.
bye.